Good evening everyone, welcome back to my channel True Crime with Jess Rose. Hope you're all okay out there. It's so warm. It's so warm here. I'm so sorry, I'm noticing how showing in my headies. It's raining, we've had thunder, you know, lightning, the whole light show, but it's still so warm. I'm sorry if I'm going to be all stuttery through this video. My child decided that nothing unusual really. She decided that she never wants to sleep. That's just something she doesn't want to do. I'm foreseeing that she's got a great future ahead of her because she doesn't need sleep ever. So yeah, she was going from, I think it was 1:30, 2 o'clock this morning. Let me know if anyone else feels my pain, because I'm so tired. I was last week. It's just, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it probably is the heat, but no, because she does it in winter and spring. But there we go. That's me having a bit of a whinge at ya, and to please excuse any more stuttering than I normally do in these videos. But yeah, tonight I'd want to look at, it's from Crime and Investigation. It is a show I've done before, but it wasn't on this channel. It's called Kids Who Kill, but it's / Evil Up Close. And the last series was just Kids Who Kill, so I'm not sure if it's a different, maybe it's because it's on Crime and Investigation, they've just changed this. I'm not sure, but it's the story of Aaron Campbell. Now, it says that, but, you know, like, you know, the stories I've done, the Casey Anthony case, or Kaylee, I hate the perpetrator having the name on the title. I hate that, because they seem to become the focus of the story rather than the victim, which is very, very sad. I can understand why. He's definitely what you'd call a special case, no two ways about it. Aaron Campbell, he lives now in it's called Rothesay Butte in Scotland, and it's a really small town. On the shop, it just looks idyllic. It's they say it's like it's gone back. It's like you're in the 1950s. They leave their keys in their door. Look, in their front door. Just leave their keys in the door. Everyone knows everyone. What one of the reporters said on there, that there was a family that had moved there. It had nothing to do with this story, but they'd moved to this Rothesay because they said they'd like to be able to let their kids just run free in the woods and stuff. Run free in the woods. How amazing would that be? How absolutely amazing to be able to leave your door unlocked. And up until 2018, that's how that time was. It hadn't been touched by, you know, the crime and the badness that is within normal society, I suppose you could say. And just everyone felt so safe. There was literally, they're saying there, no crime. I mean, how amazing would that be? But Aaron was originally from England, and he'd moved to Rothesay when he was 4, I think. He has got a Scottish accent when you hear him talk, so he's obviously very young. His mum and dad, it says that they were together. They didn't break up or anything, but he didn't see his dad a lot because he worked away a lot. And it said that he never really got on with his mum, which is odd, like to say he never got on with her. I mean, we all know once they hit teenagers, when we hit teenagers, you know, there's that sort of rebellion stage and that, you know, your peers are everything stage. But apparently he never got on with her. And, you know, he used to say, you know, she drank a lot and, you know, he wasn't treated well. But anyone else who talks about his mum, her name was Jeanette, they said she was lovely. She was lovely. And, you know, it said that although he was very cute, which he was, popular, sporty, he was also very manipulative, very, like, a cunning boy, very clever, very, very clever. And he was also a YouTuber. and you see him on the show, and he looks really young when he started. You know, for someone like me, at my age, like, I didn't, that wasn't a thing for me. So to just see someone starting an actual career on YouTube at such a young age, it's crazy, it's amazing. But yeah, so you got to see him on his videos, and you see him grow up through these videos. I think he's very young in the first ones, and it brings him up to, we see him up to 16, and he does trampolining on them. He's just got quite a big subscriber base. He's got a big channel. Now, on the island, there's also a little girl called Alesha, who in the summer of 2018, she lived on the mainland with her mum, but for the summer she'd come and visit her dad, who lived with his mum and dad, so her grandparents. Now, her dad was 26, he's named Robert Macphail, and have I said her name? Alesha? I've said her name, haven't I? Alesha Macphail. Now, Alesha's 6. She's come to visit her dad and her grandparents, like I say, at the house. Now, the dad, who's 26, he's got a girlfriend who's 18 called Tony McLaughlin, and they all live in the house. And, you know, she comes to visit, and she's very loved. She's such a cute little girl. Such a cute little, and, you know, I say it all the time, but when you see the pictures of these children, and they just look so innocent and so cute, and, you know, she really, even though her parents were separated, I'm not sure if they're divorced, but obviously not together, she had a well-balanced relationship with both sides of her family. So Alesha's come to visit, like I say, for the summer, and she's just having a really good time. On the same island, like I say, is Aaron Campbell. Now, on the show, his name's pronounced 2 ways. It's Aaron and Aaron. I think Aaron might be how it's pronounced in Scotland, well, where he's from. So I'm going to say Aaron, because I do hear some of the professionals calling him that as well. So I'm going to call him Aaron. So please don't come at me with I've pronounced it wrong, so I'm sorry. Actually, no, I'm not sorry, to be honest. Who really cares? You'll see why in a moment. You'll see why that was my response then. Now, Aaron, like I say, as he was growing up, he was into YouTube and stuff, and he played a lot of video games. And there was one game that Aaron was become obsessed with. Now, I have heard of this. I'm not sure if you have. I'm not sure what the game is, but it's got a character in it called Slender Man. I've seen a lot, and I think there's another crime. I think it's called, isn't it the Slender Man Killings? I haven't looked at that yet, but I have seen it a couple of times. And apparently it's a character in a video game who, the aim of the game is to abduct children. You know, really? This I haven't seen it. So he looks like a creepy character though. Like, there's no face to him. It's just, it's what the name says, Slender Man. Really creepy. He becomes quite obsessed with this game, and you start to see a darker side to his character, his friend says, because he was speaking more and more about it and what it'd be like to basically kill somebody that, you know, when he was talking or you know, online, he'd say it, and they just took it as it reminded me a little bit of Joshua Davis, who obviously killed Rebecca Harwood. And Aaron also reminds me of Brett Bednar's killer, Louis Daines. Very similar characters, quite dark but charismatic at the same time. Very manipulative. It comes across that he was that kind of, he had that character to him. So as he becomes a teenager, he starts dabbling in cannabis. I don't think, nothing Carter's mentioned, but, you know, he does smoke a lot of weed. And Aaron gets weed from Alesha's dad, Rob Macphail. So Alesha's dad, in effect, supplies the weed to him and possibly his friends. I'm not too sure. There wasn't an elaboration on that. But that's where he gets his weed from. Now, on July the 1st, 2018, at 11 p.m, Tony McLaughlin, who is Robert, Alesha's dad. There are a lot of names in this. I am trying to keep it simple. But Tony McLaughlin is in a relationship with Robert Macphail, who is Alesha's dad. She puts Alesha to bed at about 11 o'clock. They're all, calming down for the night. On the other side, kind of the island, Aaron, he'd been celebrating. It was the end of his exam results. They'd been celebrating at his home. He'd been drinking. And I don't know if his mum came home and found everyone there. I don't know if she was aware of this party. But him and his mum ended up having an argument. And he storms out, telling a friend, I'm going to see Robert to get some weed, basically. He sees Robert Macphail, but he complains that the weed isn't strong enough. So he's not happy. He's not happy with the deal that's been done. And he starts ringing Robert, no answer. He starts messaging Tony McLaughlin, obviously Robert's partner. Facebook messages, apparently, and she was asleep, so she didn't hear anything. So Aaron decides to go around to Robert's with a knife, armed with a knife. I don't know if I've mentioned, Aaron's 16 years old. So he's talking a child here. And it said that he was so angry at not being able to get hold of Robert or Tony McLaughlin. He's just really angry. He goes around there with a knife. And his intention is to rob the house of any drugs or money that he finds. That's what his intention is. He'd gone round, like I say, he'd gone round to Rob's house. The keys are left in the door. That's what this town was like. It's just mind-boggling. There is a town in Ireland where my family's from. And years ago, it's not the case anymore, which is very sad. But years ago when I went, that's what it was like in that town. All the keys had just been in the door. And at that young, I was so young at the time. Even then, it was mind-boggling to me. It was like, are you scared someone's just going to walk in? So I have seen towns and little villages that are like that are that crime-free and trusting, and it must be lovely. So the keys are left in the door. And he goes into the first room, and the first person he sees asleep there is 6-year-old Alesha. And Aaron decides there and then that he's going to kill Alesha. He sees that as his chance. Do you remember he said he would, he could see himself killing somebody? Just to see what it's like, apparently. So, July the 2nd, 2018, I'm so sorry. There's so much to this story. And I just want to make sure I get all the timeline straight. And I'm working on no sleep. I'm sorry. This is possibly going to be... But I'm going to try and make sure I get all the facts straight. I think I'm becoming... Not hysterical, what's the word? When you're so tired. Not belligerent. No, that's when you're drinking. I'm not drinking. I don't know. No, I really am rambling. You can tell I'm tired. July the 2nd, 2018, at 6:30 in the morning, Alesha's grandmother goes into Alesha's room and sees she's not there. So she thinks she's gone into her dad and Tony's room. She does that sometimes. She climbs into bed with them. And so she knocks on, she goes in, and she's not there. And the nan alerts Robert, she alerts Tony, she alerts the granddad. She's not there. So they search everywhere, under beds, thinking maybe she's playing a trick or something. I mean, she's 6 years old. But they can't find her. And very, very soon the police were alerted really quickly. And searches are started pretty much straight away from the police. The ambulance services all got involved, all the people. It was a very small town, so it became quickly, it spread like wildfire that this little girl was missing. And everyone joined in the search, including Aaron's mum, Jeanette. Aaron didn't, but Jeanette did. She did join in the search, and at 8:54 a.m, Alesha's body's found 15 minutes from the family home. So you're talking like 10 hours. 10 hours from when she was put to bed. And then she's found in some woodland after being in her own bed. I've done a similar story before, and I said before, it's beyond your worst nightmare. That's when you believe your children are safe. And, you know, as lovely as I said, the key's in the door, and it genuinely is, and it's such a shame that that's ruined for that town now. Completely ruined. It's just heartbreaking. And her mum, Alesha's mum, because of how quick it went round the town, because it was so unusual. There was no crime in this town whatsoever. There was a Facebook group started very, very quickly saying, you know, where's this child? Then there was obviously an edit to that saying she'd been found. And that's how Alesha's mum found out. That's how she found out her daughter was dead. I mean, oh God. When they found Alesha, and obviously they've got to assess her while she's there, there was 117 injuries on her. She's 6 years old, she's this big. 117 injuries on this child. And the town, straight away, I presume it's an outsider, they had a fair or something the week before. They thought had someone spotted her and, you know, come and abducted her. They were blaming, I think, a Syrian family that was also living on the island. You know, they didn't believe that it could be one of them for 1 second. No one entertained that thought. Alesha's cause of death was significant pressure to her face and her neck, and she'd also been sexually abused. Jeanette Campbell, obviously Aaron's mum, when she gets home, she's got CCTV, and they'd had it installed because Aaron's grandmother, Jeanette's mum, she had dementia. So they had the cameras, you know, because she was making her way outside and, you know, putting herself in danger and stuff. And so the cameras were put for the nan's safety. So Jeanette thought, I'm going to check them, you know, see if I've seen anything, them walking by or anything else. So she looks on the camera, and what she sees is at 3:35 a.m, she sees Aaron on the CCTV coming into the house. At 3:45 a.m, she sees him leaving the house. When he first come back at 3:35, he had no top on. At 3:45, he left the house, and then at 3:53, he comes back again with a top on. And she said her stomach dropped, but obviously she didn't want to believe it. She knew the time frame that they released, how long Alesha could possibly have been dead for, with hours. She knew the time frame that was being looked at because she'd been present at the searches, and she asked Aaron, and what he says, he admitted to his mum, I was going to get weed, and I forgot my phone or something. You know, he made an excuse, but because she believed him, because what's the alternative? You know, she either believes that, the alternative would have been too hard for her to believe. But she volunteers the CCTV footage to the police, and what she thinks is it will quickly eliminate her son from any inquiries, and it might even help matters. She wasn't trying to drop her son in it, let's say. From her point of view, like I say, if she didn't believe him, then what was the alternative for her to believe? That her 16-year-old son had just murdered a 6-year-old little girl. So she hands the CCTV footage into the police. Aaron's brought in, he's interviewed, and again he says he was buying weed, and that's where he'd gone. And he shocked the police officers at how cocky he was, how confident he was. But they were checking, obviously the CCTV footage, they were checking his phone. On there they found the messages to Tony McLaughlin, asking about Robert and being quite threatening, the missed phone calls to Robert, and also they found a Google search of how do police find DNA. Doesn't look good, does it? Now, when the forensics start looking at the DNA found on Alesha, and they've obviously done swabs of Aaron, it matches. And on July the 4th, 2018, a day later, all this has happened so quickly. Aaron's arrested for her murder, and from then on, he just says no comment. That's all he offers to the police in his interviews, no comment. On July 5th, 2018, Aaron is charged with the abduction, rape and murder of Alesha Campbell. Aaron, this is what I'm saying, he's so clever. He's the same age as Joshua Davis, he's, Louis Stones was only 18. These are very young, very intelligent people. It seems to me like they'd smile at you and be constantly thinking, but he tries to incriminate Tony McLaughlin, Alesha's dad's girlfriend. She's only 18. He says that they were friends with benefits, and basically that she'd had something against Alesha for taking her dad's, her boyfriend's time away from her. She was jealous of Alesha, and it said that they slept together earlier on that night, on the 2nd, and that the condom that he'd been wearing, she planted that around Alesha's body. I mean, he went into such graphic detail about how she'd framed him, and it was definitely her. He wasn't believed. He wasn't believed at all. It was so elaborate and so far-fetched, and just, they had him. They knew it was him. So in January 2019, the trial of Aaron Campbell begins. Now, up until then, his name hadn't been released. It was said it was a 16-year-old boy, but his name hadn't been released. And at the start of the trial, the judge thought it was in the public interest to release his name. And, of course, he pled not guilty. He wanted to go through a trial. This was his big moment, And the prosecution just came forward saying it was a sick fantasy. The friends had come forward saying he'd said it. He said that he wanted to do it in his lifetime to see how it felt to kill somebody. So it goes back to the night he saw Alesha, the early hours, so it'd be July the 3rd. And when he went into the house and saw Alesha, and at that point, it was spontaneous. At that point, he decided he was going to kill her. He put the knife down, and he carried Alesha from the house down to the shoreline, and he said that she did wake up. This was after the fact. This is what the prosecution put through for the trial, but it said after the fact that this is what happened. She'd woke up, and he told her he was her dad's friend, and that he was taking her home. She's half asleep. She's probably forgotten she was in her house, and she trusts him. She's 6 years old. He's 16. He's young. She trusts him. She said she was cold, so he gave her his jumper. It was a 17-minute walk to the woods. And it said that he left Alesha in the word used was a catastrophic state, 117 injuries. It said that he did so much damage. This was Boya McKenna who said this. You know, she's the psychologist, familiar crime psychologist. Serial on Britain's Darkest Taboos. Amazing, amazing lady. She said that he did so much damage because he knew he was going to get caught for this. You know, no matter what, he was getting caught. And he wouldn't be able to do it again. So he wanted to do everything he could do to her there and then. It's just awful. There was a question within the trial, was he acting out the Slender Man game that I'd been talking about? And the experts say no. You know, there's nothing to say that these games, you know, encourage somebody to go out and do that. You know, their mind has to be set that way anyway. He took the stand. He actually put the family through the whole trial. He actually took the stand. He was so composed, it was said. No empathy whatsoever, no remorse. You know, on the stand and while he was in the dock, he was smirking, he was smiling. You know, one of the reports said, you know, even though he's doing that facially, he didn't move. It said that, you know, with children who are standing trial for something awful, you know, they get fidgety after a while they move. It said he didn't move at all. You know, he was just foiled. He continued to say he weren't guilty. Her mum, Alesha's mum, had to walk out so many times during the trial. One through hearing the devastating injuries inflicted on her daughter, and also watching the 16-year-old boy who'd done it smirking, smiling, couldn't care less. The defence tried to go along the Tony McLaughlin line, which was a shame for her. Young girl, mud sticks. You know, she's been accused of the most horrific, heinous crime, even though there was no credibility in it. The powers that be never took it seriously, but he gave the defence a story and they ran with it. He actually said, it was said he told them as well that he was struggling not to laugh during the trial. The verdict, it was a 9-day trial, and after only a couple of hours, it only took the jury a couple of hours, he was found guilty of abduction, rape and murder. And it was only then, it was like he wanted that trial. That was his big moment. He wanted that, you know, and it was only then after he'd got that notoriety that he wanted. Like I say, I can't say YouTube because I'm on YouTube, but you know, it's very hard to say because all people who do YouTube videos are for very different reasons, and he wanted notoriety, he wanted to be famous, but not for positive. This was his end goal, it said. But he finally confesses, and that's how we know what Alesha went through on that night. With regards to how he brought her to the woods, the actual crime itself and what she went through, it said that the police know, but there's details that haven't been released, that only Aaron knows, and the police, you know, it's not been released. It's that disgusting that it's never been released, a bit like James Bulger. You know, there's just details that the public don't need to know. It's not in the public interest. That's how they're seeing it. And I'm relieved I do these stories, but, you know, I don't think you need the graphic details to know what that poor little girl would have gone through. You know, experts do say he was born evil. It was said that right back until when he was 3 years old, he wasn't a cuddly child. He wasn't an empathetic child. You know, it was from very early on really negative signs about this boy. Anna McKenna does say, you know, to be known as a sadistic sexual predator, child murderer is the worst title you can have. You know, those three things individually are just, and to be all three is just, he's the worst of the worst. His sentence was life, 24 years minimum. That he can ask for parole when he's 40. I hope they never let him go. This one, if he can do this at this age, 16. Rehabilitation. I wouldn't buy it. You know, Alesha's mum, she's now a campaigner in a charity for children. You know, the whole family were just devastated, the whole town. You know, they'll never be able to leave keys in the door again. You know, they have got this beautiful, you see it on the show, they've got this beautiful bench for her and beautiful flowers. Then when we seen when it was filmed, and you know, just very well kept, and you know, you can see she hasn't been forgotten, and you know, it just changed. The ripple effects was huge. It said that Jeanette Campbell, obviously Aaron's mum, she didn't believe it. Even when he was found guilty, she didn't want to believe it until he actually confessed. Because up until that point, he was obviously saying, Mum, it wasn't me, I'm being framed, and, you know, etc. That's a son, that's a baby. He's 16 years old. She wants to support him. She wants to save him. You know, considering he told everyone she's this vile woman. But once he confessed, obviously literally straight after the trial, she hasn't seen him. It said he's had no visitor since he's been in prison. I think he's in young offenders and he'll move on to, you know, main prison. But he's had no visitors up to now. Who would? Who? He wouldn't. I think he'd be proud of that. He just sounds, such an awful boy. And the thought that he could possibly get parole at 40, which is still so young. He could still have a family. It just doesn't, you don't even want to think about it, do you? But thank you for joining me. If you do want to watch it, like I say, it was on the Crime and Investigation channel. And it's Kids Who Kill. It's only recently been recorded. I mean, it's obviously quite a new story. I don't know if there has been other shows on it. This is the one I've watched, and it's Kids Who Kill / Evil Up Close on Crime and Investigation if you do want to watch it. And yeah, can't believe I managed to not, you know, stutter too much during that. Hope I didn't. I know I went on a ramble, so I do apologise for that. Yeah, but thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're all staying safe out there. And yeah, just stay safe, and thank you again. And if you do want to subscribe, I'd really appreciate it, or like, or pop a comment in. Any stories you'd like me to have a look at, you know, if there's any you've seen that you think, you know, you might want to share, please let me know. And thank you so much again for joining me. Thank you.